Welcome to Daggers and Shadow Daddies.
We're your hosts, Ryan and Adriana.
Buckle up, Buttercup. So many things happen, and so few that I care about toward the end.
I have a quote from Rhysand when he got his first booby touch. You have no idea how much I love these. Sir, you were just formally introduced to them, and this is how you talk about them?
Well, I don't think it was about those ones in particular. I think it's like if somebody says, ooh, do you want ice cream? And you're like, you have no idea how much I love vanilla ice cream.
Oh, I thought he meant like hers specifically because he's just been gawking at them this entire time.
I think those are included in the greater these. But so far, we've only been introduced to, I think, 4 boobs that he's not related to. I think that's it.
I remember just being so confused because he's just like, you have no idea how much I love these. And I'm like, what? What does he love? I was like, oh my God, just boobs? This is how we're talking about him?
I was really disappointed because, to me, he was canonically an ass man.
Yes, and that just changed your entire view of him.
It did. I'm disappointed.
Yes.
You know, like, I get it. I feel we can all appreciate a nice boob, right?
Yeah.
But the way that he said, oh my God, I love these, it was like if you hand a kid a package of Oreos, and they're like, oh my God, I love these. How'd you know?
Tears right into him. He's just like, I gotta touch them both.
And Feyre's like, okay, well, I'm glad I brought them. Well, here you go. Not like just for you, but for now for you, which was cool. But I think we're jumping so far ahead.
We are, but I had to talk about it.
I was laughing so hard.
This scene didn't do it for me like the last one. And I wonder if it's like the setting in which I listened to it, the mood that I was in. Because it was 6 a.m. while we were driving back from the hot air balloon launch.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that was the right setting to be listening to the sex scene. It was a nice setup. It was a slow burn setup, but I don't think I was in the right headspace for a sex scene when I listened to it.
It was a perfect slow burn because it took 5 minutes for him to get undressed. And then I had you pause it because I'm like, we have to talk about it right now. It's been 5 minutes and she hasn't brought up that he put anything back on. And we know that he sleeps nude most of the time.
Yeah, so when he put clothes on, that was him doing her a favor. Like, oh, I better put clothes on. I normally sleep nude.
Wouldn't he be doing her a favor if he stayed nude? Because he knows how much she likes it. He's like, you saw me dangling and you were, you like to ogle the goggle, if you know what I mean. Stare at the snake, if you will.
What would you rate the spiciness of that sex scene?
As far as personal satisfaction or as far as how spicy it is?
It's up to you.
Oh, personal satisfaction? I've never laughed harder at a sex scene. Because also, so he's fingering her and then he brings it up to his mouth and just goes, pops. His finger pops afterward. And he's like, I love these. The boobs. Like, everything about it was hilarious to me. And then where she describes the size of him, right? It was
enormous.
No, I said enormous. She said considerable.
Yeah, considerable.
Which is nice, but not overly flattering. She could have said his insane member, his tunescent tool. Like, there could have been something more to make it seem just like his massive hog. Anything would have been great. But instead she's like, well, he has a considerable size. Like, okay, you'd have to consider it as in if inconsequential size was the next option.
I want to point out that you were guessing what their first real sex scene was going to be like, and you thought he was going to eat her out. He ended up fingering her, but it did play into the idea that he would be a gentleman, make sure she got off first, unlike Tam Tam.
He did, and for that I'm proud. No, I will admit the way he went about it was hilarious for me, but it clearly worked for her.
Really think about if you were to write out our sex. It would be so, it's not the right setting, it is so awkward. Like, all sex is just awkward.
It could be awkward. 100% could be awkward. But I think I could do it in a way that is less funny than this. To be fair, this almost took thought to put the humor in it. And then he's like, I want to bang you, but I want to do it in a room that's big enough so I can bang you against a wall and really tear your ass up. This is what he's saying. And I think it's a great move. But then what he did do was so funny to me.
He still ended up, I don't know.
No, yeah, it worked for him.
Yeah.
Don't be wrong, but he left the wings out, which was clearly...
I thought about this because I was thinking it's a small room, it's a small bed, and he left the wings out, but he's not supposed to be using his magic, and he'd have to use his magic the entire time to keep them hidden.
Okay.
That's why they were out.
I thought he was using his magic the entire time to keep Velaris hidden.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's limited reason.
All right. No, it's cool. Magic reasons.
He could have been using his magic to have a
the whole
considerable length.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is initiated because she touched his wing, but he kind of put the wing right in front of her hand so she could brush it.
Well, she was obviously signaling that's what she wanted.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not suggesting this was in any way an abuse of power. I'm saying the idea where he's like, let me do you a favor. I'm going to put on some clothes. And then immediately he's like, we're going to exchange body heat. Okay, don't worry about it.
It's so cold. There's no fireplace. We must share a bed.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's like, don't worry about it. The wing will help keep you warm. It was described as testy skin. Of all the not warm things, testy skin?
I think that if you're wrapped up in it, it'd be warm, though.
Yeah, but remember, it just covered her. It would be like if it were raining, it would have kept water off of her. But it wasn't, touching her. She reached out and touched
her body heat, it wouldn't be escaping.
They have a blanket. The hell's the difference?
Oh, a blanket would be so uncomfortable if you had wings.
Yeah, well, so would the shirt, which, okay, I also have to address. She does ask. She's like, how the hell did you get that shirt on with your wings? And he's like, oh, magic. Don't worry. No. He said, don't worry. V-shirts have slits in them and then buttons that go in after it. And all I could think of was those pajamas where they got the ass flap. And the little buttons on the ass flap, but that's what it was for his wings. He's got a little ass flap for his wings.
Well, he kind of just said that his way of doing it, though, buttoning the hidden buttons was with magic.
Wouldn't that also have just kept your wings hidden if you were using magic anyway?
I don't know.
I enjoyed this sex scene so much. It was the funniest thing I've heard.
Have you rated it yet? Will you'd get it?
Oh, I would say... On a funniness scale, it's a 7 out of 10. It could have been slightly more comical. And on a sexiness scale, I'll give it a 4. I would go lower because of I was actually disgusted at the finger and then deep throating your fingers afterward was a little awkward, but mostly because they didn't shower. She was literally working all day in leather.
Oh, gross. You're right. She even talked about how not a single man looked at her because she was she showered. She changed her clothes.
She didn't shower. She took her wet clothes off and replaced them with dry clothes. There wasn't a shower.
Okay.
There. So she sealed in that flavor from all day, which, don't get me wrong, not a problem. But you've just met this lady.
All the more of a gentleman that he is.
I think what he did is not a problem. I think immediately shoving those fingers in your mouth was such an unnecessary move for me. Because I don't know what she's got going on. I don't know what her flavor is, but I can tell you right now, I would probably do that for you. But even then, you will never see me deep throat my fingers afterwards. I would rather go to the source than, sloppy seconds myself with digits. I don't think so. That's not going to happen. I don't know where my hands have been.
Oh, why would I want your hands in me if you don't know where your hands have been?
Hey, that's a whole lot of a you problem. I can tell you what, I'm not putting them in my mouth. Oh, okay. We've been out there working outside all day, no shower, and your problem is that I'm putting them in you. Come on. Yeah, it's all a problem. I mean, he could have magicked himself clean, but then they also could have magicked themselves dry,
But they had to get naked, obviously, so they had to get out wet clothes.
They never did get naked.
He did. He was completely nude getting undressed.
Oh, yeah, for a minute. And then he was slowly getting undressed because she describes hearing the sounds of his clothes hitting the floor, which wet clothes hitting the floor. Is that a sexy noise for you to just get started with?
But if you have been waiting to sleep with this man, as you would know, I'm sure we share familiar feelings with this.
Yeah, I often am just waiting for Henry Cavill to walk through the door, wet clothes, so I can say, shirk them bad boys off.
I think that her imagination getting carried away with it makes sense.
She could have just looked. She's like, I looked away and ate my food. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, the show is in front of you. If that's what you're aiming for, he's clearly not bashful. Like, if you want to stare every time I get dressed, I'm cool with it. If you got questions as to how the wings work, I'll answer them.
But you're also looking at this through a lens of a long-term relationship, not a brand new one. They're not even technically in a relationship yet. It's a situationship.
Yeah, I don't think I quite grasp the nuance of what needs to be true for this to be great.
You're like, I'm sticking to the 4.
Well, okay, do you think it should be higher?
I don't know. I really think that this could have been a better scene if I was falling asleep going to bed listening to it instead of driving and
Being completely cognizant.
yeah, being awake and looking around. I don't know.
Where your imagination didn't fill in enough gaps for it.
Yeah. I think it would have. I think the scene, my personal setting, impacted how I took in that chapter.
So, what I'm hearing you say is you could have adjusted the details enough to have made it really good in your head if you were in the right headspace.
Yeah.
So, as it is written, though.
As it was written.
I would say it's very spicy. It's just not sexy to me.
I just enjoyed the chapter 42 better, is all I can say.
Oh, man, you remember the chapter numbers. Yeah, I'm in trouble.
Starting back at chapter 44, Feyre is at a healthy weight again. She's talking about her body.
Again.
Yeah, again. But it's good. I think it's good for us to recognize where she's at health-wise.
Yeah, I think so, too. I am a little curious about her LDL and her HDL.
What's that all mean?
That's cholesterol. You're not old enough to know what those things are yet, but I'm an old man. Have to pay attention.
And Cassian and her are getting ready, and Cassian's the one that flies her into Velaris for this event for Starfall.
He said, you're getting kind of chubby. I don't know if I can carry you.
No, he doesn't say that.
Figured out winnowing in case your fat ass falls.
He was making fun of the jewels, and I thought he was funny.
Oh, I missed the jewels part. I thought, because she was talking about how her figure's full now.
Yeah.
And I thought he was like, listen here, Tubbs. You might just slip on out my arms and hope you got it figured out.
He said it.
She's weighed down because of jewels?
Yes.
Oh, that makes so much more sense. I was like, man, Cassian's an asshole. Okay.
No, it was the jewels.
I was worried about our girl getting an eating disorder. I was like, don't say shit like that.
I was also thinking, was it the blood rubies or blood, whatever the things
for black diamonds?
What's the hit on them? Blood
diamonds.
Yes, to turn that into jewelry, that would have been hilarious. Just like own it. Just send it in, turn it into a necklace and wear it everywhere.
I think that would be a really cool idea. I'd be on board with that.
She finally realized everyone is her friend. She was kind of taking a moment and called them she was looking for her friends. And she has like this, oh, yeah, they're my friends.
Yeah. I liked that she had that moment of like, what do you consider these people? Oh, my friends. Lifelong. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. It reminds me of the song Red Solo Cup.
Oh.
My friends. Lifelong friends. She had a Toby Keith moment. R.I.P. Toby.
And I found it odd that they now know that somebody is tracking Rhysand based off his powers, but he winnowed into the city.
Yeah, here's the thing. If you're going to get all excited about every detail, you're not going to enjoy this book. You're just going to have to let some shit go.
Yeah, I guess so.
The selective use of Rhysand's magic is not something we can discuss. Because
he's constantly using it.
Yeah, and you're going to find holes in this all over the place for winnowing, why they ever fly certain places. There are so many questions I have. So many.
Well, it's going to be their last time there, so I think he is aware of the ability to keep the place shielded and protected, so he winnows there, but he's not going to show back up because Amaranth says it'll be a long time before they all go back to Velaris.
No, they're planning on war breaking out before that.
Yeah.
Okay, but they're there for the Festival of Lights.
Yes,
which
Starfall.
Is Starfall, which initially I wanted to pick a bone with this because stars are fucking enormous, right? Like a meteor shower is not stars falling.
Yeah, but I think the idea that it looks like stars are falling isn't outrageous to give it that name.
No, I think you're right. I was just going to be a little pedantic about it, and be like, oh, this is like when we say shooting star. I'm like, that's a ridiculous thing. The only star we regularly Like, the only star in our solar system's the sun, and if that fucker starts shooting across the sky, we got problems.
We're going forward. More in Azriel. Azriel is crushing on her, staring at her, and she pretty much just talks about Cassian the entire time.
Creepin'. I like Azriel, but the song Creepin' is all that I could think of.
No more about songs.
I can't help it.
Stay on task.
This book needs a soundtrack, and I'm the one to deliver it.
Oh my gosh, there are soundtracks out there, but yours is going to be so confusing.
Wait, there's a soundtrack for this book?
Yeah, people put them together. You can make playlists on Spotify.
Oh, yeah. But, like, I would want to have the book as it's being read to me, and then the soundtrack kind of plays in the background for certain moments.
That's what people do. They set up little soundtracks. While you read your book, listen to this playlist.
Yeah.
Yours would be awful, and I would not recommend yours.
Wait, what? Man, it's so pointed.
You would have Toby Keith in there.
Yeah. And
Red Solo Cup?
Gary Wright?
No one's going to understand.
No, I wouldn't use that song. I would just use the little clip of him being like, friends, yeah, laugh long. That would be great. And then we'd have Gary Wright. The whole Weaver scene would be a completely different animal.
What do you think about more Azriel and Cassian at Starfall?
Oh, yeah, I forgot what we were talking about. Well, we get the backstory on Cassian and more, which is really cool. Because she's like, I wanted to bang the toughest dude I could bang. And the mightiest of the Illyrians was Cassian. I could tell from looking at him. I was 17, he was 18, so Romeo and Juliet laws, it's fine. Then Azriel and Rhysand were really pissed about it when they found out that he banged her. Yeah. So Rhysand and him fought real hard. Azriel appears to have just been brokenhearted, but they don't appear to have a connection outside of being friends.
No, I think that Azriel is just a guy on the sideline. He doesn't ever make a move. He doesn't do anything. He just likes her.
But the thing is, though, then he got bitter when his friend banged her. And I'm not saying this because I'm also an asshole.
Maybe Cassian has a track record of being this kind of friend.
Yeah, but if Azriel just keeps staring at him forever, like, I think this is a moment where I'm going to give Cassian the pass.
Yeah.
It's like Cassian, she walked up and was like, hey, what do you think? And he's like, yeah, I'd take a run at it. And then, like, Azriel's still just staring from around a corner. Like, I think Azriel deserves to be cucked a little on this one.
Well, I think that Mor and Cassian slept together that night.
Yeah, well, because the stars are actually the spirits of dead Fae traveling across the universe.
Well, it's not confirmed that they're dead Fae.
And they're not entirely incorporeal. Like, they do have a physical form. They're just kind of slimy.
Yeah, I looked up some fan art, and it made me think of bioluminescent algae.
That's exactly what I pictured in my head, but slimier. Because it's like flying through the sky. It'd be like somebody flicking a spoon of, like...
I didn't picture slimy because it was described as dust on Rhysand's face.
Oh, I, for whatever reason, was picturing it like war paint.
I saw it as chalky.
And I was thinking viscous. So I was wrong.
Well, I don't think it matters.
But it does change things a little bit. Gets rid of some of the jokes I was going to make.
Then Rhysand shows up. Sexily and swaggerly shows up behind Mor and Feyre.
Yeah. And just pinches each of their butts.
Ew.
Well, it's his cousin. It's not weird.
Stop it.
Sweet home Velaris.
No more songs.
I'm so sorry. I'm a musical man, Adri. This is a musical book.
They ended up forgiving each other in one chapter. I think we were predicting how long it would take for them to forgive each other. And you thought, well, it's going to take a long time. It was by the end of this chapter.
It takes her forever to make every other decision. And to be fair, she flip-flops so much. I sincerely thought she would have to, like, really work her way through this. And instead she was like, actually, I was kind of an asshole. You allowed me to re-listen to what she told him, the chapter that I'd fallen asleep.
Yeah, we did re-listen to it.
Holy Christ. Just on a side note, you're right. She was such a dickhead. I felt so bad for him. And then when he ignored her, it totally made sense. And then he responded to, like, her bitchy message. That also made sense to me. Like, I get it.
They worked it out, though, pretty quickly.
They did. In what I would say was a relatively healthy conversation. It was honest.
It was, and I thought it was so cute. They were both laughing and giggling, having fun, which is something that has not happened in the last 2 books at all.
Well, it's the first time she's actually smiled. And the only other thing where I'm going to give Rhysand a bit of a demerit on this was he's like, smile again for me. It came off very You're so pretty when you smile.
It did a little bit.
As opposed to just saying, wow, you have a beautiful smile. He said, smile again for me. Which I'm like, man.
I was picturing, so while we listen to these books and whatnot, I act some of it out, like subtly.
It's not as subtle as you think it is.
Well, sometimes I make it obvious and it's fun and entertaining. But as we were going for the walk, and he says that, he's like, smile again for me. And I'm just picturing smiling again after somebody says that to you.
How genuine that would be.
Yeah, it would not. It would be so awkward. It would almost be like the end of a 90s TV show where they're doing the cut scenes of everyone just smiling at the camera and just like, bye.
See, and I put this all through the lens of me. I'm an awkward duck, right? In a lot of ways. One of them is I'm not a photogenic individual. I get nervous with the microphone. I get nervous about cameras.
Yeah.
I don't like my photo being taken. If I could disappear off the planet without ever being documented, ideal. If you smiled and somebody's like, oh, it's a nice smile, and then you tried to do it again, I would just have this weird toothy grin. I'd look like I'd never done it before. Like this is a brand new mouth and I'm learning how to use it. And I worried a little bit that would be the case for Feyre. Like when he's like, smile again for me, and then she'd be like, ha. Okay, never mind. Don't do that again. I don't regret her never smiling at me anymore.
They kind of just moved past it, which is good. That's what I needed.
I dwelled far too long.
I know exactly where we were at in our neighborhood when that moment happened because I dwelled on it for a little too long. And on the corner crossing the street, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. And all I could think was, I was like, oh, don't say smile again for me. I'm like, sir, no. And then I do like that it's moved on from, because again, it was a little bit of a tips of fedora moment, but they do brush past them. They very seldom linger on those moments. And I think given the context of what Rhysand looks like, he can get away with it. I think that's the real overarching.
Yeah, it's one of those.
If Henry Cavill came up to you and was like, smile for me, you would have...
No.
Okay, you think that until Henry Cavill in his Witcher attire is doing it.
You wouldn't need to tell me because I would be smiling the entire time.
Yeah, but then imagine you stop for a second like you had to sneeze and he's like, smile again for me. Your face would immediately just boop, rewind back into what it was before.
I don't think so.
I don't think you could help it. I think you would be so giddy by the fact that he was like,
you're looking at me?
He likes my smile. I'm never going to brush these teeth again.
Rhysand brings up how he regrets the kiss that they had. And I was confused in the moment, and I remembered their kiss under the mountain.
He was kind of mean about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a little rapey, but...
But it was for the greater good against Amarantha.
Well, it was also because he was angry at Tamlin, actually. It was a spite kiss, remember?
It was.
He's like, she's mine, not yours. I want her mouth, not you. He's never even seen that mouth form a smile at this point, bear in mind. He's just seen her grimace at him a few times, and he was like, I want that on my wiener.
Stop it.
You don't think so?
I'm sure he did, but it's not what I want to be thinking about right now.
To each their own. You take your way, I'll take my way.
But they didn't end up kissing. Even after he said that, I thought there was going to be a kiss moment. There was kind of one, but I think he just kissed her cheek. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gave her a sweet peck on the cheek, and then he went, when they get back to the house, after they both got some ghost goo on them, which they don't wash off.
Dust.
Yeah, but that's why ghost goo was funnier when it was all slimy.
Gross.
Right? Little spiritual splooge. Anyway, so they got the dust on their face, and he's like, don't wipe it off. It makes it look like your freckles are glowing. And then he gets it on his face, and she's like, now we look like we both had our face painted at a Magic Tiger studio. And then they go to the apartment, and then they each go to their own room. She paddles the pink canoe for a half hour.
Oh, yeah, that's
for him
right.
to show
She's
up.
waiting for him, and he doesn't show up.
Yeah, but she's like, I waited for a half hour. And it's like, don't forget, your right hand is a direct link to this dude the whole time.
Yeah, she could have mind vibed and like, come to my room.
Well, and she could have just accidentally, like when she was getting undressed, just like touched a boob with it. He loves those. And he would feel it.
I think realistically, though, she feels a little bit of shame of how quickly she's moved on from Tamlin.
And I think that's appropriate.
And I don't think she wants to eagerly go after Rhysand. I think she wants to take it slow.
Do you think the justification for that is the fact that the human person she was is dead?
Maybe. I don't know.
Like, I would imagine she's having a hard time, right? She's like, it's only been 2 months. She was only with Tamlin for like 3 months before she decided to go fight under a mountain.
Yeah.
Like, she hasn't done long relationships yet. She hasn't been gone from home for a year at this point.
Yeah, timeline's odd. I thought it's been a couple years, and then they're like, it's been 2 months since the wedding. I'm like, whoa, okay.
No, you did move fast.
Oh, okay.
Well, and after the wedding, right, when he picked her up, that means that, what, 3 or 4 of those weeks, she was still in the spring court. So really, it's been a month that she's been in the court of nightmares, or the night court.
Yeah, that kind of explains Lucian later a little bit. Yeah. No, Lucian said that he's been looking for 2 months.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, that's. I mean, he gives her an extra few weeks.
So
they went to the apartment, nothing happened. Everybody goes to bed. They wake up the next morning, and then we picked up where we were earlier.
Yeah. And it's been more than 2 months since their wedding because he takes her the first time at the wedding, then it's been anher month. Okay.
The second
that's a nice timeline.
Yeah, it's like 6 weeks. So I would say it's been 3.5 months since their wedding.
And I think that's kind of why she's thinking she doesn't want to outright ask Rhysand and tell him what she wants, because I don't think she's fully committed to it because she feels a little shame with it.
I mean, let's look at it this way, right? If she gets 3 High Lords a year, every 4 months she gets a new one, hypothetically. I mean, she's got a solid, 2 years and almost 2.5 years of High Lords to burn through.
Yeah.
Then we get into the High Priestesses.
Oh my God, stop. Chapter 45, they're at the Illyrian camp. They get dropped off there. Mor and Feyre, Rhysand, and Cassian are all there. And we learn about women are now being trained to be warriors, but yet they're still treated differently. And Rhysand made a point of when Feyre is training, it's the type of training that she requires. Not going and cleaning, not being treated differently, being treated just like the men.
Yeah, well, and Feyre brings that up and is like, what the fuck over? And he's like, hey, you gotta pick your battles.
Yeah.
That was one of the first real Rhys L's I can see, but I liked that it was more realistic.
And the head honcho guy there had no respect for Cassian or Rhysand.
They're half-breeds.
But still, the idea that they're more powerful than him, or even Rhysand's status, still zero respect.
I relate it to racists. The same argument as people that think Larry Bird was as good as Michael Jordan. It just doesn't fit the race that they want to see.
Oh.
Nothing against you, Larry, if you're listening. I think you were an amazing player and really brought the Celtics to a whole new level and in turn drastically improved the Lakers. But through competition, he didn't play in the Lakers. Just let you know that.
No, anyway, basketball. But I do know you're talking about basketball, so that's a win.
Yeah, and Michael Jordan is the best ever to do it. King James as well, but whatever.
So women are being trained for similar reasons to women gaining the right to vote is kind of what I got from it. There were states that started allowing women to vote to increase their population of voters, as they are allowing women to train to fight to increase their army numbers.
Oh, see, I took it more like when people of color were allowed to vote, where it was more like, oh, we're required to do this. But then they only gave them 3/5 of a person.
That is what they're doing. It's like Rhysand's doing it for the genuine women deserve these rights.
Equality.
But the people that are implementing it are not really doing it. They're just doing it because they have to, and then there's other places that are following suit. And I think that's probably where both of us are probably right, where the ones who are being told are doing it, but they're not doing it fairly. And then there are those who see, oh, their numbers are increasing by training women. We also are going to, and it's to increase numbers.
Interesting.
But it was kind of an awkward thing of Rhysand just like, never mind, I'm not going into that one.
No, please.
Yeah, I just found it kind of awkward that his character, it wasn't a nice guy moment, but it kind of was a nice guy moment with the women fighting. It just seemed...
Illyrians? I'm so glad you got such a kick out of that. I debated, since you said women fighting, I sat there and stewed on that for what felt like eternity and was probably 5 whole seconds. But I was like, oh, that might be too dumb. No, you loved it. This is awesome.
Illyrians. It's so stupid.
Oh, okay. All right, well, I rode that high for about 10 seconds and it was still worth it.
But she even said that Cassian and Azriel would do the same for her that they did for Moore.
Would you say it's more of a white knight thing you have an issue with?
That's what it is. It felt very white knighty. I think that's really the term that I was looking for. That is a better fit than nice guy. I don't know how to describe it.
I'm wholly in a joke.
What is it?
Well, now I feel a little on the spot, but would you say he's the High Lord of the White Knighty Court? I'm enjoying these little puns.
I am loving this book so much that it is fun and entertaining, and the fact that it can make me feel all of these emotions depending on what kind of mood I'm in when I'm listening to it. I'm either laughing or turned on or attracted or cringing or disgusted. I find that really incredible that a book can make you feel all of these emotions.
I wish a book could make me feel all of those emotions. To be completely fair. This book makes me feel probably 60% of what you just said.
60% horny?
No, I have not. This book has yet to have at any point made me feel attracted to any character or horned up, but it has entertained me in those moments.
After going through women are starting to be allowed.
Women are 3/5 of a man.
The right to fight. They talk about blood right, I think. Do you remember this part?
Can we call the Illyrians the Beastie Boys?
Sure.
Women got the right to fight and party. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. Get out of here.
All right.
The blood right. And they're talking about how you show your strength. You have your wings tied. You're not allowed to use your powers. Yeah. Not allowed to use your powers. You're dropped off. All these things, right? And as we're listening, all I could think of is it's human cosplay. You cosplay as a human to prove your strength because they're just need to go through life or go through this challenge as if they were a human.
Go be a little bitch for a while and see if you survive it.
If you could survive that, then you're fine.
Yeah. Now, granted, you have like immortality still and are unbelievably strong.
But did it sound like that's what Feyre and Moore will need to go through, or at least Feyre will need to go through that challenge?
I think it's presented as though that would be the case, but I don't think that'll happen.
Okay.
Can you imagine how slow the book moves if then Feyre has to go on a hero's journey, vision quest, so to speak?
Well, yeah, we're almost chapter 50, and there's 60 some of them.
Yeah, and we have a lot left to figure out. We still haven't heard back from the queens a second time. They have the orb. We got all kinds of shit.
We did hear about Tamlin a little bit. I was getting a little whiny about not hearing anything about him, and that was intense.
Are you already there?
Yeah, that was at the end of chapter 45.
Okay,
was them training Rhysand and Feyre, and he's doing the truth thing, and we learn Tamlin and Rhysand were friends, and that Tamlin and his family killed Rhysand's mom and sister, and their wings were in the study.
Yeah.
Did Feyre see them in the study?
Yeah.
I don't remember it for sure, but I thought so.
I thought so too.
I thought she was shocked that she thought they were beautiful.
Yeah, but the only reason that I'm assuming we didn't actually see that is because she seemed shocked with Rhysand's wings as to what they look like. Like when she went to describe his wings, it was like his wings were like that of a bat, blah, blah, blah. Remember?
Yes.
Which for some reason I think of as being very vascular. Do you remember why the Spring Court decided to eliminate the Night Court's family?
No, I don't remember the why. Why did they go after his mom? Something happened.
Yeah, I don't remember it either. Something happened.
Re-listen. There was a reason they went after his mom. No, it was towards Rhysand. I think they were supposed to get Rhysand, and instead they killed the sister and mom.
Yeah. Well, and prior to this, Rhysand and Tamlin had been friends, and Rhysand had helped train Tamlin.
Oh, I do remember now.
Okay.
Okay, they were friends as kind of young. Tamlin was younger.
Was young.
And Rhysand
was toward the end of the war.
Rhysand was training Tamlin which his dad did not like. And he was bothered by this, threatened by this, that Tamlin and Rhysand were hanging out. Like, he saw Rhysand as inferior and didn't like it. So I believe the intention was to kill Rhysand, and they showed up to the meetup.
Because Rhysand was a bastard of a lesser fairy and high fairy. Okay.
Yes, I believe that's what it
Yes.
was. And because Rhysand wasn't there, they still just killed his mom and sister.
So sad. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what happened. That was shocking.
And in retaliation, Rhysand and his dad are like, oh no, motherfucker, we're going to take you out. So they go and they murder Tamlin's dad.
I think they did it, they murdered in the wrong order, too.
No, okay, so they murder Tamlin's dad. And
Which then it goes to Tamlin, which is
Tamlin's
why...
High Lord.
And then he has the power transferred to
him.
him.
He kills Rhysand's dad.
Yeah.
And then Rhysand immediately becomes High Lord. This is all happening in minutes.
Yeah.
Was the way it's written. So now you have two freshly minted High Lords, and neither of which are accustomed to the power they now possess.
Yeah.
Which I was so wrong on the way the power worked. You were 100% right.
It does transfer to the most powerful family member, I believe.
Which it seems to also stack on top of whatever natural ability they have.
Yeah.
So I think the High Lords of today, the more recent the High Lord is, the more powerful they would be in general, right? Every generation you would compound that power.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, it would be, if you were born, let's say, with 10 power, and then your High Lord had 100 power, you would now have 110 when you got that power. Well, then the next one is 10. So now it's 120. So I think for the more generations you go, the more powerful the High Lord would just be in general.
Huh. It also helped with explaining why Lucian's brothers were fighting for it, because even though you kill someone, it goes to the next person. It doesn't seem like they know who it will exactly go to.
I think it's the most powerful sibling.
Yeah. And then if you are able to kill that sibling, then clearly it should go to you. But it's all familial.
Yeah. I find that super interesting. If the case is that it would go to the most powerful sibling, though, why have they not continued to try to kill Lucian?
Wait, why would they kill Lucian?
His brothers?
Yeah.
Because if they're worried about him becoming the High Lord at one point, they probably should still be concerned about that if their dad is killed.
Oh, just take him out now?
Yeah, because you're not going to do it after he becomes High Lord. Evidently, those people are uber powerful, and I wish we were given a little more. Like Rhys's entrance in the Court of Nightmares gave us this idea of, holy buckets of ball sack. This dude's just a force, right? We got some of that with Tamlin when he first gets his powers back before he murders Amaranth.
Yeah.
Where it's just, holy shit, these dudes are beefy. Those are the only moments where we've really seen some real heavy High Lord juice.
I don't think Lucian is as strong or powerful. Even Feyre was talking about looking at Cassian and Azriel, they could destroy him.
But are his brothers more powerful than that?
I don't think she's really seen her. I don't think she's seen his brothers before. Well, she's seen them from a distance, but I don't think enough to gauge their power, especially she was in her human form when she saw them.
I'm not suggesting she would gauge their power. I'm suggesting if they were concerned about Lucian, wouldn't it make sense for them to still want Lucian dead as opposed to Tamlin says, I'm keeping this guy safe. He's in my court now. Maybe because he's a member of another court, he can't inherit that power, even though he would be familially related.
I don't know.
That's kind of the idea I was pitching there, I guess.
I don't know. I don't know if you're going to get your answer.
We're theorizing here, Adri.
This is a wild
theory-based podcast.
Very theory-based.
This is most of what we do.
None of our theories have come true.
Here's the thing. We don't cover the information accurately.
Nope.
We have more questions than answers every time we come into it.
Yep.
And I'm mostly here for songs and jokes, and you're here to express your deep appreciation and love for this book.
Going to push you forward.
You need to. Yeah, that's what we need.
We see more of Feyre's powers as she's talking, or as they're talking together.
Rhysand and Feyre.
Yes, I believe this is when she starts the forest on fire. But she then puts it out comfortably. It wasn't any panic or worry. She's like, oh, I better put this out. And just...
She saw Smokey the Bear sign and she's like, only me? only Feyre can prevent forest fires. And she's like, I got this. And just blast it with ice.
Yes.
I think that's so fun.
And we get I don't know, it was really nice to just hear more of what she can do and how comfortably she could control her powers. It wasn't a struggle to switch to using ice. It wasn't she could jump between them.
She could dual wield maybe.
Yes.
Which I think that's where things are going to get cool.
Yeah.
Like in Halo 2, where you can dual wield. Sorry.
Upgrades, people, upgrades.
Get upgrades.
Chapter 46.
What's the big booty robot's name?
I don't remember.
I'm so sorry for derailing us to there.
I recently saw a TikTok about it of someone cosplaying this character, and it was hilarious. I should have saved it for you.
Robin Williams was a great voice in that movie.
I miss that movie.
We should watch it again. We're grown-ups.
Are we good?
We can do whatever we want.
Chapter 46, they're in that Illyrian home.
It's a house. That's not a home.
Right, it's not their home. And Moore is headed to the Court of Nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
And
Check on her dad.
Awkward between Moore and Cassian. This is when I think that it's obvious that they slept together.
I completely agree. And I think what's wild is if you're Azriel on this, you have a crush on this girl. You're a super duper spy master and the shadows speak to you. You just want him to fuck in a very well lit room. Like,
I didn't.
otherwise, he's getting a whole download.
Yeah, because they one time mentioned that the shadows will tell him secrets.
Yeah.
I think he should have known long before that night that they had a thing for each other, that this was going to happen. The signs were there.
It doesn't make him less sad.
Oh, now you're making me sad.
Well, to be fair, it's all entirely of his own making. Again, he's my favorite character right now in this book.
He has no game.
He might. He wouldn't know. He's too up his own ass.
Yeah.
And you're a spy master. You cannot tell me this dude doesn't have confidence. He has confidence for days. He's just being a dork.
It also sounds like he might be a little resentful that he has to travel. And that's why he can't make the move.
Yeah, he seems to have some stuff he's bitching about a little bit in his head.
He did. I was going to say, he actually never talks or shares any of these
I
things.
think that's why he's my favorite character. He's not adding any bullshit to anything now other than one more song reference. You know the song Everybody Hurts?
No.
Everybody hurts.
Yes.
It's just him peeking out from a corner while they're having sex. That song's playing. And he slowly moves his way back. And cut to the next morning. And he's just sitting at the table, single tear going down his face, watching the two of them awkwardly try not to look at each other. Song's still going.
It's so sad.
It's fun.
But I don't know, she kind of led him along because the night of Starfall, they all three were dancing and she went between the two of them, leading them both on, but only slept with one of them, which is a good thing. I think sleeping with both would have been weird.
Do you think she owed him sex?
I don't think she owed him sex. I do think she owed him not playing with his feelings.
Do you think that it's entirely her responsibility how he feels about her interactions with him?
No.
Good to know you're an ally. I think I did quite well with that. Lawyered.
Get out of here.
There's no problems with Moore. Azriel's still my favorite character, even if he is a little cucky. He must enjoy it.
I don't know. Well, he left.
Yeah, not before the shadows explained to him exactly what went down.
Moore and Feyre are besties now. I don't remember why I took that note, but I have that note. So they must have talked about something.
She and Cassian.
Not sleeping together. She just talked.
She talked to him about their history.
Yeah.
So
I have it after their awkward morning.
It's like immediately after Feyre comes downstairs and is like, so what's the deal here? You two are a little weird. Like, did you guys do the hokey pokey? She's like, we did once. Maybe it was before that.
That was before that. They just shared something, but I have the note. They're besties now. So whatever reason. Oh my God, stop it.
Cassian was not arguing.
Oh, and this is also the chapter where they flew far into a forest to train, so far that they would have to stay the night there.
Yeah, because winnowing and wings, not real things.
But at the time when I was listening, I just looked at you of why not winnow? Why can't you winnow back? Now.
Why are you that far into a forest anyway? You're at a training camp.
I don't know the why, but I do know he shouldn't be winnowing. So if you fly out that far, it's probably not safe to fly out back.
Well, okay, so you flew, let's say 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
It seems like that would be a very far distance.
But this doesn't set us up for Chapter 48. Chapter 48 has to happen. We're laying down the
All right,
groundwork.
plot device, we're camping.
They have to camp.
That's right.
Unfortunately, they flew so far they can't make it back.
Oh, no. Sorry. I'm trying to help. Oh, good job.
Oh, and this is where Rhysand is so turned on watching her use her powers in the forest.
He's also a size queen, but he's also in it for the power.
Yeah, he's a power queen.
That kind of makes sense. The two of them would work well together.
But I think it was her using her powers in that his happiness or pleasure, pride, that's the actual word, was brushing against her mental shield.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't even know why I don't have this note down on there. End of chapter 46 is where you were left on the cliffhanger. Lucian shows up.
Oh, man. His entrance is so good, though.
Yes.
Because it's out of fucking nowhere. And then it's a familiar voice. Says, Feyre, or some shit like that.
Yeah.
She's like, I turn around, no shit. There's Lucian with a bunch of other people whom I don't know.
And she held her own. It was nice. It was impressive. It showed how much she grew as a person. And she acknowledged how she's gained weight. And I shouldn't use the word gained weight. She's just healthy. She's a healthy size now. She's a healthy person. She's powerful. And Lucian just kind of ignores it.
No, I disagree. I think Lucian sees it, recognizes what a problem it was with her being in the spring court, but also knows what the cost of her not being there is.
Yeah.
I don't think Lucian's ignoring it. I think Lucian is acknowledging it, but then he's also acknowledging information he knows that she doesn't.
He made it sound like it's very dangerous that she is not back. Whatever is happening, he said that Tamlin is losing his mind. Tamlin's not himself.
Yeah.
What do you think is going on in Spring Court right now?
I don't know. As long as he didn't fuck around and hurt Alice, he can survive. If he hurt Alice, then everybody needs to go murder his ass today. Yesterday even. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think what has happened is Tamlin's throwing temper tantrums, but also not fixing or acknowledging his PTSD. Tamlin does not have a Rhysand. And I think this is an important thing that would be really easy to overlook in this. Take Rhysand out of the equation, and does Feyre become a better character?
That's a good point. No.
She needed the support system that Rhysand provided her for healing. And Tamlin doesn't have any of that. Instead, he is the opposite of that. He has Ianthe, who is not helpful and just keeps feeding more rage into him. We're still not super clear on Ianthe's mission other than power, which is oddly exactly like Feyre and Rhysand and a bunch of other people. Power makes people horny. She, for whatever reason, is not just banging Tamlin into pleasantness. There's something.
We don't really know what's going on. This is the most information we've gotten about Spring Court.
If he's still losing his mind, she's not banging him into submission.
Okay.
I'll tell you that right.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
The dude's blue balling like a motherfucker, and so he's losing his mind a little bit.
Feyre winnows in this moment, and she talks about time slowing.
Yeah.
Is she slowing down time, or is she winnowing?
Porque no los dos home skill. That's what I was thinking. You
think she can slow down time?
I think that time is a power of one of these High Lords that we have not yet been introduced to.
You haven't heard about Daycourt's power?
No, and it seems to be a time dilation because time didn't stop. Time slowed.
Yeah.
It was as he was reaching, she stepped around him. It seemed less like winnowing.
Yes.
More like she was just uber fast.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's
really fast. Instead of time slowing, she's
faster.
The Flash.
Yeah, well, and I think it's kind of a 6 one way, half dozen the other, right? It doesn't so much matter because perception is reality and time is a relative,
Well, yeah, so this is chapter 47, and they don't talk about it at all, what she had just done, nor in 48.
They she touches on it though immediately when it happens, where she's like, he reaches for me and time is moving slowly. I step around him, and as I turn back to face him, time begins to move normally again.
But then she shows up next to Rhysand.
But I think he was on the other side. I think that's where she was moving to.
Okay.
because it doesn't so much matter, I guess, either way. She is either moving faster than everybody else or is able to make everybody else move slower, which in turn would mean she's moving faster than everybody else. She has great command over her power because Lucian will not listen to reason, but Feyre also puts on her bitch mask.
She does. She says, I have a quote from her. It was kind of like her badass line.
All right.
It's when you spend so much time trapped in darkness, Lucian, you find that darkness behind you. You find that the darkness behind you to stare back. Okay, I didn't write this down correctly.
I think Pharaoh's got a speech impediment. I don't want to bring this up. She was illiterate, now she has a speech impediment. This is
the disadvantage of an audiobook. You just keep pausing it to write down quotes. You can't just look at a book.
I feel like we re-listened to this part too so many times. Like, you loved this. And
I was trying to write down the quote, and clearly I messed it up.
Okay, so read it as you have it written.
No.
Okay, can I read it as you have it written?
Okay, I think we solved it. When you spend so much time trapped in darkness, Lucian, you find that the darkness begins to stare back.
Yeah, and it was a badass line. At this point, she's wearing her Illyrian fighting leathers, and she is draped in shadow. She also, during this badass moment, shapeshifts herself a set of wings.
Yes.
Feyre's got testes. She's like, don't touch them.
As soon as they appeared, she talked about how sensitive they were, too.
Yeah. She's like, I'm going to come.
No, she didn't.
If a breeze hits me wrong, boom. Big O juice all over this place.
They made her shudder.
Yeah.
And when we were taking a shower, I made a point to brush my finger across your balls, and you shuddered.
I don't think I would describe it as shudder. I was washing my hair, and something randomly grabbed one of my balls.
And not a grab.
I was scared.
There was no grab.
Okay.
I did exactly what she did to his wings, or she just like touched him.
If you're not expecting somebody to touch you, let's say you're just sitting there at work typing and somebody comes up and pokes you in the side. Are you going to shudder a little?
You did exactly what I thought Rhysand did when his wings were touched. That type of sensitivity, I just had to prove my point.
I don't think anybody was arguing that. I thought you were talking about like a sexual sensitivity.
No, I just said that they're sensitive like testicles.
Okay. Again,
and
any part
you
of my
had
body.
me convinced that testicles didn't work that way. So I was just like, all right, Here we go. You're washing your hair. Your eyes are closed. You don't know what's coming. So then I just go,
you could have poked me in the belly button. It would have been the exact same thing. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
No, you shuddered. You didn't flinch. You did your shoulders. Your shoulders like, oh. Exactly as described as Rhysand.
All right. So you're 100% correct.
Wings are like testicles. I tested it. This is scientific. Highly recommend.
Science podcast.
Do this to others. No, I don't. Just kidding. I'm cutting that out.
You're not cutting that out. So again, when you're not busy assaulting strangers as suggested by Adriana, I would like to bring up, you're correct. They are sensitive. I was specifically saying not sensitive in the same way that it was described. Did you think for a minute when I shuddered that I was going to come?
I didn't think that he was going to come when she touched his wing.
Oh, I did.
I didn't. I just took it as it's a sensitive part.
I took it as a human.
No, I didn't I took it as he did exactly what you did, actually. That's the only explanation we need. As soon as I just went scoop.
I feel like for somebody that's always like, let's get on task, quit talking about this, it's too inappropriate. You have spent 5 minutes being like, I scooped your balls in the shower.
Well, scoop may seem like with my whole hand. It was just one finger, just like she did.
Okay, why? It's
one finger.
Stop moving your hand.
I gotta show you.
Yeah, now I'm scared. Okay.
Are you gonna shudder?
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna shower alone from now on. I can't trust you anymore. Guess what else would scare me? If you booped me in the butthole, I'd have punched you in the face. Not because I'm angry, but because it's quite sensitive. Okay?
If she shapeshifts so accurately...
Oh, you are just moving right through. Look at you. She's got balls.
Yes, she does have balls.
She showed off that she has balls metaphorically in the way that she stood up for herself.
Yeah.
And then she stretched out that testy skin into some wangs. Now we can move forward.
If she could shapeshift so accurately to feel the wing sensitivity as soon as they appeared, could she learn to use them? Like, are they functional? the type of shape-shifting she's doing, it's not like in Harry Potter where they like drink the potion, or maybe it is kind of like that.
You're suggesting is it visual manipulation or shape-shifting? Because those are two separate things. I would argue Rhys has talons when he shapeshifts that function as talons, not just as a visual difference of his hands.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Tamlin, when his claws and shit would come out, they are functionally claws and paws. When he's in his beast form, he is that beast. He's not just a dude walking around on all fours. And then he's like, I gotta magic myself to look like a lion. And then he forgot once. And everybody was like, what the fuck is he doing out in the field? And you just see this blonde-haired dude just out there playing horse. Like,
and nude also because he
didn't want the clothes. Yeah, he's just out there hanging brain for all the world to see, pretending he's a horse. They're like, well, one part of him's a horse. They move on. Rhysand with his cloaca. If he doesn't do it, it's just a butthole. And then it's rude.
So it's like Terminator style transporting. They lose their clothes afterwards.
Oh, do you want to know the explanation for that, for why in Terminator they couldn't bring their clothes?
Sure.
So everything that could be transported through time, according to the Terminator verse, had to be wrapped in organic matter. That's also why the only robots...
Organic matter?
Okay, let me rephrase this. Living tissue, not organic matter. Which is why the only Terminators that could come back in time were the ones that were covered in living skin. That's why they didn't send back any of the other robots.
Okay.
Which...
That was their way of solving any plot holes.
Well, they didn't really, because then in the second movie, they came out with a liquid metal Terminator. And it just looked human, but it was clearly metal every time. It didn't bleed. It just kind of like got scratched.
Yeah,
like metal.
Right.
So it didn't really solve that, but they acted like it did. Because in the first movie, it worked out.
They're like, we just need a naked man. That's how we get the views.
And you know what? James Cameron delivered. I think it is James. Did James Cameron direct those?
I am not the one to answer those questions.
I believe.
Sorry.
I believe he did. It seems like his artistry.
But overall, I think she should learn how to fly now.
Yeah, so I had a whole different idea.
Which was?
When she can shapeshift and everything functions, she could properly fuck more now.
Ew, Ryan.
She could. She could borrow anybody's penis.
What if she turns into Azriel and helps him out a little bit, flirting with her? And
Feyre tells her, like, hey, you a little bit curious about what it would be like with Azriel? He's got the biggest wings. Let's see what he's worth.
I've already shapeshifted into him. It's true. He has the biggest dog.
This dude's got a monster hog, not just a considerable member, right? So she just whips out the fire hose and she's like, what do you think? And Moore's like, that is pretty cool. I wonder what it's like on him. And she's like, no, this bad boy works. She's like, don't worry. I got all of this down. I practiced.
Stop.
You don't think so?
No.
That
Chapter 48. We're going to talk about chapter 48 instead. Such a goober.
Oh.
They show up to the inn after they
haven't got rid of Lucian yet.
Oh, Lucian just disappeared. Oh, I guess we could talk a little.
Well, I have a question about how he disappeared.
He winnowed away.
They didn't appear to winnow, and they just stared at where they were, and suddenly he was gone.
Yeah, I assumed he winnowed.
But he hasn't been shown to have had that power at any point.
Yeah,
neither has Tamlin. Tamlin also hasn't been shown to be able to winnow at all.
Wait.
That's why they would take horses and shit and go places. Yeah, Izzy, if you get a second, you Google that for us. Izzy is our intern, and she is a little slow with Google.
Okay. He has the ability to winnow.
Cool. That wasn't explained prior to this.
There you go. He winnowed away.
All right. Well, they made it seem like it was fucking mysterious.
Well, I took it as he disappeared, therefore he winnowed.
Yeah, I thought that's the obvious answer, but the way that they were like, he was there, and then he wasn't. We looked, and he wasn't there. And I'm like...
They seemed a little unbothered, too. It's kind of nice that they weren't in a panic after he disappeared. They're like, all right, it's probably time to go to the inn.
Oh, man, I took it totally the other way. I took it as they were like, wait, where the fuck did he go? And then it's like, well, he's gone. And they're like, well, I guess we have to worry about that another day.
Yeah.
Just moved on. But it didn't seem like they were also aware he was going to leave that way. I found that interesting.
Yeah, I took it as he went out. And they're like, all right.
You're correct.
I guess we have to stay the night in this crowded inn with only one bedroom and one bed. No fireplace. So cold.
Well, oh, yeah. Yeah, but they have stew and meat pie.
Yeah.
And I thought meat pie was just going to be a euphemism. Like, she was going to be like, oh, I'm ready to eat my meat pie. And he had just, like, put a little hole in the side of the container, and then he just put his peen in there. She, like, went to go eat. He's like, dinner is served. And he, like, pulls a napkin off the top. Ta-da. Same effect.
He kind of acts like that anyways because he gets undressed and changes. And I think he makes a reference to if she wanted to see him naked.
No, he says you did.
Go.
It wasn't a question. He's like, you like seeing me naked.
Yeah, this is what.
And she's like,
yeah, I do.
You're so gross.
Stop it.
Turn the other way.
Please.
Give me a little circle. Now make me hate it. You know what I mean? She had that kind of a moment with it. Do you think he helicoptered?
No, I don't think so. And you should learn
right.
from this.
What do you mean?
No helicoptering. This doesn't happen in these scenes.
Okay, but do you want me to model everything after these scenes?
Oh, sure. Oh, stop. No.
No, hey, I'm just saying. Is that what you're looking for?
No, it's not what I'm looking for.
Because I would say without the helicopter part, there's no humor in the way that they do things. It's funny the way they're doing it, but it's not meant to be hilarious.
Some of my notes are, it's so cold, they must share a bed. Platonically, of course. Oh, yeah, and he loves her look, the way she looks at him and sees him for who he is. It's, I think every time that she looks at him and she wants to paint him.
Like one of her French girls?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And I think she gave him that look again when he was getting undressed.
She's like, it's going to take more paint to color that dick.
So,
grab me an extra gallon while you're out. You know what I'm saying, boy?
I don't think that's the case.
She's going to become a sculptor so she can really capture it.
Oh,
wouldn't that be cool? I imagine if you were a sculptor, I would be like, please. Instead of a bust, I just want like my pelvic region, but like a bust. I want it where you walk in the door. It was the 90s. It's a phone. You have to put the balls up to your mouth to talk into it.
Oh, no.
This must be a thing that exists. I can't be the first person to have come up with it, but it's wild that I've never seen somebody with one.
You brought up this one point. This is against the rules. We're not allowed to talk to each other.
We couldn't help it with these.
I know.
So fun.
So Rhysand's clothes are wet. He's getting undressed. And you're like, I don't think he's going to get dressed again because we already know, canonically, he sleeps nude.
Yeah.
He didn't, though. He did get dressed. And then he stayed dressed. I don't think he got undressed for this scene.
No, he didn't fuck her. She touched his more than adequate member. I can't remember what she called it, but it was basically just like, it's more than adequate. But she didn't seem blown away with it. She was just like, it was...
I thought...
impressive.
It was bigger than Tamlin's based off how she described it. Because she's pointed out his size on the throne and in bed here.
Yeah, but again, the way she pointed out Tamlin seemed just as excited. If not more. I was convinced Tamlin literally had a horse cock. The way she was describing it.
Okay. Maybe then both are pretty
Rhys's, but Rhys's is like, Rhys's pieces is fine. Tamlin's testes. I'm trying to think of more alliteration.
I just started nicknaming him Tam Tam anytime I think of him.
His penis?
No, just Tamlin himself. I have the note, Rhysand is a better lover than Tam Tam.
Oh, I would agree. And this is the thing. Rhysand did a great job. I like that he made sure she got off. He didn't need to. And he specifically even addresses, he's like, when I do bang you, it's going to be in an ideal situation because that kiss, I feel bad about it. It wasn't my best work. I'm going to give you the best thing I can the next time we do it. Now, here's going to be the crazy thing. Do you think of this a little bit as like prom night sex that he's describing?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think prom night sex is kind of like what Tamlin did. The night of Calamai, I think, he shows up in the hallway and he's like that feral and he bites her, that one, right?
Who the fuck did you go to prom with? You went to prom with me. That's not how that went for us.
I'm trying to explain why I think it is what you're saying, the prom night thing. So Tamlin does that. And he made some statement about how he would seduce her slowly, softly, all these things, right? And when it came down to it, he didn't do it. He never did. He did after he got angry and exploded and whatnot. He did then seduced her and slept with her in the way that he described, but he set her up for this whole experience. And I think he fell short on everything that he said. I think Rhysand, on the other hand, will do what he says he will.
I would say when I'm saying prom night sex, it is more of a planned venture than a spontaneous sexual experience.
I took it as it's going to be this wonderful moment and then it falls flat.
Yeah, and I think that really depends on who you're having sex with on prom night.
But Rhysand gives the vibes that he's the type of guy who gets off to a woman being pleasured.
Yeah, no, and I'm not disagreeing with that, but you don't need a perfect scenario to pleasure your lady.
No, then clearly, because they were here at this inn.
And he didn't get off to it.
No.
He specifically avoided giving her more because he's like, no, I want this to be perfect. I'm suggesting he's not going to have sex with her because he doesn't want her first time with him to not be perfect.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Okay.
That's why it's like prom to me.
Yeah.
Because there are dudes, don't get me wrong, go to prom, they're like, I'm going to get a 6-pack of, like, I don't know, Smirnoff or some cheerleader beer. And then, this hotel room, and it's going to be awesome. But then there's the other guys that are legitimately very romantic about the whole thing. There's lots going on with it. It's almost like a honeymoon type setup for them.
Yeah.
And that's more of what I envision it for Rhysand, is he's like, no, you're going to remember this time. We're going to come back to this time later. So it needs to be perfect. Yeah. There's maturity in it, more so than prom night. It's very much about what her memory of that experience is going to be.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I think my understanding of what prom night sex was different than yours. Like our definitions were different. I took it as you have high expectations and they fell flat.
Oh, because you're the girl.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Because when I lost my virginity, he did this same. No, it wasn't prom, but he set this whole thing up of like, this isn't the place. This isn't this, right? We're going to wait. And so it's not on a futon. So what a gentleman. But then when we get to the bed, it was...
Not a lot better.
No. It was very odd, very awkward. But that's what it made me think of, where you were set up with, I'm going to make sure your first time is very special. In this case, it's not her first time, but it's her first time with him, and he wants to make it special. And I don't think that it's going to fall flat in the way that I think that it did with Tamlin.
No, I would agree because it's focused on her.
Yeah.
The one with Tamlin isn't. Tamlin was self-absorbed the entire time.
Yeah.
Now, in just a little nitpicky moment, this is another form of it being semi-self-absorbed, right? Because it isn't about her enjoyment of the sex. It's about how fondly she'll remember that time with him.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
And I'm not suggesting that's wrong either. I am personally somebody that subscribes to that.
And I bet it has a lot to do with him feeling like the beginning of this whole deal where he shares, I wish I could redo that kiss, their first kiss.
I think in general, he feels inadequate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's told him that, essentially.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think it really stems from the idea of he's feeling, his totality of person seems like he feels inadequate. Therefore, this actually boosts his ego by being like, I'm the best you're ever going to have, which I 100% understand. I get it. It makes total sense. I think that it's 100% the right move because I don't know how you follow the finger popping, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how you follow that. I mean, he went dipping dots on her.
But that scene, when that was being described, she comes, he puts his finger in his mouth. Yeah. I audibly gagged while we were driving. I had headphones on, we're driving home. It was such a beautiful morning. Saw the hot air balloon launch, and now we're listening.
Left the house at 4 a.m.
Yep, it was such a wonderful morning. Now they're finally having their sex scene. I'm like, yes, finally. And she finishes. I'm like, yes, get it, girl. And then he does that, and I was repulsed. But I put it in the category now. I think if you just write out some sex scenes, it just is like that. where it
Everybody's got their own.
there's always something that could do that. It's
To be fair, some people and everybody likes something different. Some people like being
I think that's
spit on.
all it is.
Some people like being spit on, and that's their thing. It wouldn't get me going, but I appreciate that that's somebody's flavor. And I think this is just a lateral position to that.
Yeah.
It's just somebody else's flavor.
But I wonder
Literally.
literally. But I do wonder that if I was in a different location, a different state of mind, a different location, would that scene have been better for me?
I think if you were in a state of mind where you could have not been paying so much attention to what it says and instead just been allowed to replace things with how your brain wanted them to be, you could have enjoyed that more. I'm not going to lie. 2 things took me out of it. The finger thing. Nope. 3 things. The finger thing, the boobies. I like these.
Do you know how much I love these?
Do you know how much I love these?
I wish that was just replaced with something to the effect of,
These are magnificent.
yeah, or just something to, I have been waiting to be able to do this. Just something of putting her on a pedestal of some kind of that moment. Instead, it was just an odd, I like tits.
I couldn't, versus him saying like, I could not have imagined how incredible your body feels.
Yeah, this is so much better than what I ever could have imagined. Like, you are amazing. Something like that. I think that would have been a little better there.
And I think the same logic applies to me for when he's like, no, when we go to have sex, I need a wall to fuck you up against. I think if instead he would have said, let me just enjoy your body for what it is.
And it's and it is what he was saying. It was just almost like the language just slightly shifted because that is what he wanted. He's like, I want more room to explore you everywhere.
Yeah, but that's not actually how it comes off. It comes
I know.
off like, I'm just mentioning things that took me out of it in the moment, I guess, is what I was saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm listing them.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm just saying that's 2 out of the 3.
Oh, there's more.
I said there were 3. Yeah. So that's those 2 things, but I think the verbiage would have made a huge difference. And then the whole Feyre flavor thing.
Yeah.
I think that, and it's not that it's bad, it's just not for me. And all I can think of is she's been working out in leather for days. There's no shower. It's going to be a little ripe, which I think is cool. Don't get me wrong. There's days where you're like, I'm into it. The stronger the flavor, let's get after it. But I don't think within the context of how everything else was nice and soft, this wasn't a dirty. It was a sensual, sexy scene. Yeah. Not a dirty, kind of aggressive one. Yeah. Until that moment. That moment happened, I'm like, oh, this is oddly just less intimate and more graphic for me. Yeah. I found it more intimate than graphic, I guess. And that's what I'm saying in large part. Until he put his fingers in his mouth. And then I'm like, okay, that's what I'm saying is we stepped over the line of intimacy, because I do think that's a very intimate thing to do, but it's a very graphic way of getting to that intimacy. Yeah. He's just... What do you see happening in these next chapters? I don't even have a guess anymore. They're going to be banging it every chapter now. Yeah. The gates have been opened. That might have been the last chapter I get through. It was a good book, I think. I'm fine with it. I do think they're going to bang one out. I think at some point, Tamlin shows up very shortly, I'm guessing. Or if not Tamlin, some other squad of assassins. I don't believe the people shooting at them when they were headed toward the Court of Nightmares, I don't think that's Tamlin's people. Okay. Because there's no way he would have had them risking shooting her. I think it's Hybern. The same way that the Adder knew where they were in the human lands. I would say it could be Hybern. It could have been Ianthe, a separate group of them who's like, hey, Tamlin wants, if he can't have Feyre, you guys go hunting. Whereas Tamlin specifically sent his A-team, right, with Lucian. He's like, go get her, bring her home. If Ianthe's like, don't worry, I'll also send out a team. But that team, she's like, take the ash arrows and fucking kill them all.
I was going to
Because
say, do you
Feyre
think
dies.
Tamlin would be okay with her being killed if she doesn't come back?
No, that's why I assume. That's why I assume that the Ash Arrow thing had nothing to do with Tamlin, because he would not take that risk.
Okay.
I think Tamlin 100% believes that she is somehow being manipulated by Rhysand.
Yeah.
I don't believe that he sees her as a lost cause. I think he sees it as Rhysand has poisoned her. I need to save her from Rhysand.
Yeah. And I bet this just fuels the fire with the wings and Lucian reporting back.
Yeah.
I think we're going to hear from the queens also in these next 5 chapters.
I think we're going to hear from the queens in the next 2 chapters.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm just adding to what you're saying. I'm not breaking new ground.
Want to go listen to him?
Yeah, let's do it.
I love you.
I love you.
You're my bestie with the testes.
You too. I'm joking. You're my breastie. I love those.
I love these.
It was a great time. We had fun. Now get out and go live your life.
No, wait. No. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate and love you all. Please follow us here, TikTok or Instagram at Shadow Daddies Podcast.
And then go live your life.
Bye.
Bye. Get out. We're done. This was Daggers and Shadow Daddies. Now it's my time. Toodaloo. It was fun for us. I hope it was fun for you. But that's all we've got. Goodbye. Come back in a few days. We love you.